welcome to Flory Models Daily Vlog. Here we are on Friday the 13th of November 2015. Yes, Friday the 13th. And it happened to me because I made a massive cock up this morning when I was recording, putting this thing together, and I forgot to press record on one of the cameras. So needless to say, come to editing, nothing there. So what I've done is I've reshot it. So when you get to see this on Monday, you'll notice that I'm showing you in its built, then we go back to putting it together and out. It's a little bit slightly out of sequence, the first sort of 15-20 minutes of the video. After that, normal service is resumed. Needless to say, it's going together really, really well. Very happy of how the kit itself is going in. It's just that I'm finding a few little fit issues. The holes for various things aren't big enough, so you need to open them up, make them bigger. A little bit of problems trying to get the rear bulkhead in, the way it all slots in and everything else. The tolerances are just not quite there, so it's a little bit of a handful getting that all put in. Once they are in, and you do squeeze it in there, which puts a little bit of stress, getting the old light grey plastic bearing, it's not too bad. And once it's in, like we've got here, we are really starting to come together. So at the moment, I'm just adding the main lumps and bumps. Obviously, we're not putting in any small things that can get broken off during weathering, because what I want to do with this one is to basically put it together, okay, and then we'll obviously get it painted and all the rest of it and treat it more like armor with its weathering process, purely because of we're going to give it a pretty nasty job, to be honest. We want to have lots of touch-ups, lots of staining, lots of watermarks, things like that, as these helicopters tend to get. But generally, I must admit, it's going together really, really well. I thought the cockpit originally, when I was doing it, was just going to be horrible, but now we've got it all in there and everything else like that. It's pretty good, I must admit, quite nice, no problems with that at all. A couple of things I'm going to attempt to have a go at is actually doing, because the windows, the side windows are bulbous on these, obviously masking them be a complete nightmare, so I'm actually going to try and do the more of the sort of Japanese technique of masking, of actually cutting it. So we've covered it in mask oil, and then we're going to try and cut around it and peel it away and then leave it like that. The main flat ones not so worried about, but bulbous ones are a problem. So we've done the same on these little tiny side windows, which I was correct. When you're in there, you can't see anything that's in there, so I won't bother too much with the internal details with this one. But needless to say, it's going together okay now. All the bits and pieces are starting to get attached. The coaxial rotor system is actually very, very nice. Normally when I'm dealing with rotors and stuff like that, you end up having to do a little bit of aftermarket work, shall we say. You come in with your own wiring, hoses, things like that. This one is all there, so we don't have to worry about it, and it runs independent, or hopefully it'll run independent once it's in. It's never going to be a working part, but definitely, you know, the idea is there behind it and all the rest of it, so that's coming together. Friday is obviously review day, so up on the site now you can actually find the review for the great X-15A2. As you'll know, I'm quite a fan of this aircraft. It's one of those moments in history. My collection over there, I tend to have those aircraft or certain items that really sort of, you know, did something in history or sort of benchmark things. So obviously you've got an F-16, F-15, Spitfires, Mustangs, things like that. X-15 I think has been overlooked. It was one of those test aircraft that only 12 people in the world actually flew it. And it didn't fly for very long, but the information that it gained really paved way for the space race and everything else, because don't forget, this is pre-Apollo, you know, this is very early 60s, and to have something from that age that could go this fast, this high, and all the rest of it, I think it makes it to be one of those benchmark aircraft, probably even more so than something like the X1, the Bell X1. Going supersonic, you know, depending where you are in the world, there's various theories that other aircraft went, you know, faster than sound before the official one did, so there was lots of other things doing it, but nothing quite did what this thing did, of going up to, you know, as I say, match, you know, 4, 5, 6, you know, 6.7, things like that. And there is the theory that this thing could have gone over Mach 7 as well if it needed to. But generally, it's one of my favourite aircraft, and I've been after it a while, sat on the fence a little bit, but this year we decided to get it. So that is definitely going to be a build for next year. And then obviously we're getting near Star Wars. Got a few more Star Wars kits to actually bring you to the run up to actually doing the actual the big group build, well, SIG I should say, which is going to be in December. So we've got Boba Fett here, which I have to say, strangely, we've found a fault with. I know, who would have thought with Bandai? You know what I'm like, I do love Bandai, but at the end of the day, I've got a feeling it's the wrong colour. The plastics they use in all their other ones are really spot on, but this time, I don't know, the rocket pack on his back looks to be the wrong colour. The top torso clothing doesn't match the rest of him, and various things like that. So from my point of view, it's just that the colouring I don't think is correct on the plastic. Now, you know, we're so used to just putting these things together, we're not needing to paint. That one was always going to be painted anyway because of the weathering, because I want to do the weathering, chipping, scuffs, blaster marks, things like that on him. So from my point of view, it was going to happen. It's just that to have it right out the bat, and I'm looking at it thinking, that's a horrible colour, that can't be right. It makes quite a difference for doing these kits. Needless to say though, the rest of it is an absolute work of art and a gem, but just from that point of view, it just makes it a little bit different. I do have to say one thing. If anybody sent me a email via the contact me page and you haven't had a reply, can you send it again? It's just that it turns out that they've been splitting. Some have been going into one inbox, one into another. We have multiple inboxes, obviously for the membership, subscriptions, obviously sales, things like that, and they all usually go into the right boxes. It's just that somehow a few of the contact me's are going into one and they're going into another, so I necessarily don't see them, and various things like that. So if you haven't had a reply from me in the last 2 weeks, shoot me another one and I'll get back to you on that one, and everything else like that, because as I say, I found a few in weirdo areas I'd never seen, and then if there's a few in there, more could have gone in there, which means it could have been deleted, because some of the files that they go into, they just dump emails and then we just clean them out at regular intervals, so it could have been gone that way, thinking it was something else. So if you have sent me an email, haven't got a reply, you know, I try and answer everything, then send it again and I'll get back to you straight away. So that's about it for this week. I'd say the week after Telford, getting back into the swing of things and everything else like that, pushing on very nicely with the helicopter. Hopefully this will be finished next week. Then we're going to have a 2-week run on the Terminator, which, to be honest, I have ordered the aftermarket barrels for it as well. They should be in next week as well. So we've got the aftermarket barrels for the Terminator tank, and we can then push through on that one. Hopefully we'll get them all done and out of the way before we start in December for actually moving on then with the actual Star Wars SIG, where I'm going to be doing all things Star Wars, as you can imagine, and all the bits and pieces like that. So that's about it for this week. I'm going to leave you now with all some of your great work from the galleries and the completed areas actually on the site. So until next week, everybody, happy modelling. Take care.